Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first story is titled, My Grandmother's Attempt to Steal My Apartment and Force Me Back to My Parents as a Form of Punishment. I'm 29 and had been dealing with this for some time, but recently this became ridiculous. My grandmother is the most special person I ever knew, and with special I mean one of the most frustrating, entitled, narcissistic, condescending idiots on earth. She believes that she is the matriarch of the family, the highest authority that we must all obey, and for that, she has done a lot of things to all the family over the years, and recently I became her main objective. A couple months ago, she organized a family meeting at her house. Believing it was just a family meal, we all went, and when everyone was there, she revealed her true intentions. It was a trap. Apparently, someone told my grandmother that I was dating a girl, my girlfriend, and basically she exposed me to all the family. In that moment, I haven't even told my parents about it yet. The following 30 minutes were a non-stop humiliation in front of all of my family, saying how much of a failure I was, a shame to the family, a sinner, and how embarrassed she was that all her church's friends knew I was a shameless pervert. When I couldn't take her crap anymore, I got up from my chair just to be slapped in the face by her for disrespecting her. After seeing that, the rest of the family finally intervened, getting her apart before she tried to pull my hair. The following weeks, she was nothing more than a constant headache. Endless calls and text messages telling me such beautiful things as that I will burn for my sins, that I was a disgrace, that I should stop fooling around and correct my life. She even lectured my parents demanding that they correct me, to make me quit my job and find a husband because that was the right thing to do and what I should be doing. Also, she took every chance she got to say how evil and selfish I was for ruining her good image. Last Saturday, she outdid herself. While I was in my apartment, there was a knock on the door, and when I opened it, I saw that it was her. By that point, I was no longer trying to hide my displeasure from her, and I just said, it's you. What do you want? Without being invited to come in, she went into my house, began to look around the place with an obvious gesture of disgust and disapproval on her face, and then turned to see me with that look of superiority as if she were doing me a favor just for being there. She told me that she had already given me more than enough time to reconsider and correct my life, so she was there so that I could apologize to her. I just laughed sarcastically and told her that she was crazy and that she could go now. She then started lecturing me with the same speech again, but I didn't take it. I interrupted her and let out all the things I've wanted to tell her for a long time. That she was a stupid old witch, that she was not an authority figure to anyone, that her presence alone ruins our day, that nobody can stand her, that she is such a horrible and suffocating grandmother and mother that she should not find it strange that none of her children love her or visit her unless she forces them to. I knew I had hurt her by the way she tensed her face and how she tried to hide the tears in her eyes. It was then that she said, "Enough. I can see that you don't understand the good way, so I will have to correct you in the old way. Give me the keys to this place. You will return to your parents and you will be grounded until you learn to obey and do what I ordered." I still had the keys in my hand from when I opened the door, to which she extended hers as if waiting for me to give them to her. I laughed. I laughed out loud. This was too ridiculous that I couldn't take it seriously. And apparently that made her so mad that she lunged at me trying to grab my keys. We struggled, there were screams, things falling out of place. The damn witch got to the point of digging her nails into my arms and biting my hands. The scandal was such that a couple of neighbors went out to see what was going on, and when my grandmother saw them, she started shouting that I was a thief and was trying to rob her house. Obviously, they didn't believe her. They were my neighbors. They knew me. They separated her from me, and when she saw that they did not believe her and that I wouldn't obey her, she threatened me with, "Your parents will know about this," and left. Since then, she had been telling everyone how I insulted her and violently attacked her. We all know her. We all know she's a liar. She just makes everyone's lives harder. The next story is titled, Revenge Backfires, How Retaliating Against HOA Karen for a Duck Feeding Fine Resulted in Her Removal. I never thought that living in a community could be a nightmare until I met Karen. Karen was the newest member of the Homeowners Association board, and she had a problem with everything. She was a woman in her late 50s with a permanent scowl etched on her face. She had moved into the neighborhood after retiring from her corporate job and had taken it upon herself to police every aspect of the community. From the color of the houses to the height of the lawns, Karen had an opinion on everything. Her attitude was insufferable, and she never wanted to be a part of any community activity. She would always find something to argue about, and people would avoid her like the plague. I thought I was the only one who had a problem with her until the ducks came into the picture. The neighborhood had a small pond that the ducks would frequently visit. The maintenance crew had forgotten to put the fake alligator heads to keep the ducks away, and I thought it would be nice to feed them some bread. It was something that many of us did, and nobody ever had a problem with it until Karen came out of nowhere, shouting and screaming at me and my granddaughter for feeding the ducks. She then took it upon herself to fine me $500 for feeding unapproved wildlife. I thought that was the end of it, but Karen's actions had gone too far. I was enraged and wanted to teach her a lesson. I remembered a prank that my brother had once played on another brother. I decided to use that same tactic on Karen. My granddaughter and I bought some birdseed and old bread from the bakery and fed the ducks, creating a trail of food from the pond to Karen's yard. We waited in my garage and watched as the ducks marched towards Karen's yard, and it was as if they had never eaten before. They ate and made a mess of everything, and Karen could not do anything about it. It was a sweet revenge that Karen never expected, and the next day she was the talk of the neighborhood. Her fellow board members had received complaints from the surrounding neighbors, and they had no choice but to let her go from the board. 6 months later, Karen sold her house and left the neighborhood for good. The ducks were happy, and we could finally go back to our peaceful lives. But Karen's story did not end there. After she left our community, she moved to a nearby town, and unfortunately for the new residents there, she started causing the same problems. She would find something to complain about and would take it upon herself to enforce the rules with an iron fist. The community members were not happy with her attitude, and they decided to band together to put a stop to it. They knew about her past in our neighborhood and her tendency to cause trouble. They decided to make a plan to expose her, and they asked for my help. I was hesitant at first, but I decided to help them. Together, we created a fake homeowners association and invited Karen to be a part of it. We made her believe that we were looking for someone to take charge of the community's affairs, and she was the perfect person for the job. We gave her a list of rules and asked her to enforce them. Little did she know that the rules we gave her were ridiculous and impossible to enforce. We had included rules like no breathing after 10 p.m. and no pets allowed in the community. Karen fell for the trap and went on a power trip trying to enforce the rules that we had given her. We recorded everything she said and did, and presented the evidence to the real homeowners association. They were shocked at her behavior and decided to kick her out of the community. Karen was once again forced to move to another state, but this time she was not able to find a new community to cause trouble in. Word of her past behavior had spread, and no community was willing to have her as a member of their homeowners association. Karen had no other choice but to move into an apartment complex where she could no longer enforce her rules on anyone. However, Karen being Karen, she found a new hobby to occupy her time. She started spying on her neighbors and reporting every little infraction to the apartment management. The other residents found her behavior unsettling and complained to the management, but they were unable to do anything about it. Karen had not technically broken any rules, and the management could not force her to stop. One day, one of Karen's neighbors had enough of her constant meddling and decided to teach her a lesson. The neighbor knew that Karen had a habit of going on her daily walks at exactly the same time every day, and he decided to use that to his advantage. He set up a trap for Karen by leaving a pile of birdseed in her path. As expected, Karen saw the birdseed and started complaining about it. But as she was walking away, a group of ducks that had been hiding in the bushes suddenly appeared and started chasing her. Karen ran as fast as she could, but the ducks were faster. They chased her all the way back to her apartment where they made a mess of everything. Karen was covered in birdseed and duck droppings, and she was completely humiliated. The neighbor who had set up the trap had recorded the entire incident, and he posted the video online. It quickly went viral, and people all over the country were sharing it and laughing at Karen's misfortune. Karen was once again the talk of the town, but this time it was not because of her bad behavior. She had become a meme, and people were using her name to describe anyone who was difficult to deal with. Karen eventually moved to another state where nobody knew about her past behavior, but she had learned her lesson and decided to keep to herself. She realized that her behavior had caused her nothing but trouble and had made her a laughingstock. As for me, I was glad that I had been able to teach her a lesson. I had no hard feelings towards her, and I was happy to see that she had learned from her mistakes. The neighborhood was once again peaceful, and the ducks were happily quacking away at the pond. I knew that I could now feed them without any trouble, and I did so every chance I got. The next story is titled, Letting My Ex-Husband Drown in Attorney Fees. After 5 years of marriage and endless false promises, I finally get my personal revenge. My ex-husband, 32, and I, 33, got married in 2017 after 1 year of long-distance relationship between the US and Germany. We sealed the deal, got married in the US, and he wanted me to live with him in the good old US of A because he didn't want to learn another language. To make things easier, he moved in with me in Germany for a job I helped him to get, so we would have time to initialize my plans of emigration and immigration. Now, my ex didn't even get started to gather all required documents for himself to be my sponsor. Said and done, I had all documents well sorted out, canceled all my contracts, sold my belongings, sent large parts of my things to the US, and said goodbye to my lovely home, friends, and family. Little did I know, my ex-husband did not do a single bit of research or even did his part for my immigration process, and I wasn't able to set foot on the plane that would bring me to my new home. Long story short, he left to the US without me, and I was homeless, with a suitcase and 2 cats. He continued to lead me on with promises to come and get me. Meanwhile, he started a polyamorous affair. Later, he got involved with a 21-year-old young lady. I lived with my parents for a few months to get back on my feet, find a new apartment, and a new source of income. Now, I never went to German officials to get our marriage recognized in Germany, mostly because I didn't think it was necessary because we planned to live together in the US. But my laziness was proven to be useful later. Since he was with his new girlfriend, 21, I broke up the relationship. In the US, we still count as married, and focused on myself, regaining my independence and rebuilding my life in my home country. I fell in love with an acquaintance, 31, I've known for 13 years, and we soon found that we have very much the same goals in life and the very same ideals and wishes for a monogamous life. Meanwhile, I've been in contact with my ex to finally get him to start the divorce in the US. Since the marriage was closed in the US, only a US citizen is able to petition for the divorce at the district court. I didn't want my name to be further affiliated with him, and I also didn't see the reason why he should further profit from tax benefits. I made clear I didn't want this anymore and wanted to move on. Finally, he got a process started and forgot one single thing. I am not an American citizen. So everything that applies in the US when it comes to paperwork doesn't apply to me in Germany. Which means, serving me via email? Nope. Wanting me to sign something electronically? Nope, not possible. All they would have to do is send me the notarized, signed, and translated paperwork via physical mail. But they don't. So I get email after email with pleas to get me to sign the US divorce papers electronically. With every mail his lawyer sends me, his pay ramps up. Don't get me wrong, I certainly told the lawyer what he has to do in order to get me to sign a legally significant piece of paper, but I guess he doesn't know international laws. So, at this point, my ex still sits on all my belongings I asked him to give back, and since he doesn't do that, I'll keep collecting spam mails from his lawyer. That's my personal revenge for leading me on, using my hopeless romantic heart, and leaving me alone when things went hard. I don't count as married in Germany, and am currently expecting a little baby boy with my partner, and we're building a life together without false promises. The last story is titled, Still Heated with This Karen. So, this happened today. Backstory, I work as a computer tech for my school district. We've been giving out laptops since March 19th to parents who don't have a computer at home for their kids. Today, a Karen had an appointment for 12:15 p.m. We close up at 1 p.m. We saw her strolling in at 12:53 p.m. when we already started closing up. Karen. Hello, I'm here to pick up a laptop. Me. Sure, I already have it prepared. Takes like 10 minutes to set up. I handed the laptop to her. Karen. This laptop is junk. I don't want this. I want this one. She points at a teacher laptop. Me. You can't have this laptop. It's for teachers. Karen. Well, I won't accept this piece of crap. I need a touchscreen. Are you telling me I can't have a better laptop? Me. That's exactly what I'm telling you. All remaining laptops we have are the same for students. Karen. Every child deserves the best, and I don't want this crumb of a laptop. Who do I call to get a touchscreen laptop? Best Buy is closed. Coworker gives her a number she can call, which is our makeshift call center for parents calling in with issues. I was about to go off on this idiot. If your child deserves the best, then buy a laptop. Best Buy is not closed, liar. Target, Walmart, and Amazon are open. You're here for a free laptop and complaining? Secondly, you waited literally 8 weeks to get your child a laptop when we've been giving them out since March 19th, and the school year ends in 2 weeks. What a waste of a parent. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.